I don't know if you guys bet on the UFC. I don't know if you like to spend a lot of money when you're betting. I don't know if you like to do that, but these guys have got a 97% success rate on the picks that they pick. You want to win some money? Well, this is going to happen right now. Matt, you want to introduce your brothers?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig and Matt, the Fight Night Picks. You boys there? What's going on?
Wow, what an intro.
How are you guys?
Look how happy Matt is that he's been watching Ariane for the last 30 minutes. Look, he's like stunned.
Stop.
He's like stunned. Who's your favorite Octagon girl, boys?
You were just talking to her.
What's happening, my friends? Thank you very much for coming on and joining us. We do we appreciate you coming on. Can you let us know exactly what you guys are, what you do, what you're about, and what you can give to all of our guests here at What Happens Here?
Yeah, I mean, we run kind of an MMA site. We covered some fights live, and the pandemic's kind of been a bit of a weird year for everybody, and for us, we kind of really steered into the name, so we started making picks, and it's really just kind of popped off this year. So it's been kind of wild, the growth that we've been able to have, but we're going through these cards. The biggest thing for us is kind of picking off some of those names that a lot of people might not be familiar with, but I mean, really going through, spending a lot of time on some of those lesser known fighters. And then of course, talking about some of the big fights. And I mean, we've had a lot of crazy ones here recently. This weekend's card's insane. I think there's 14 fights on the card now. So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So where do you guys get all of your information from? Where do you get your knowledge about these fighters to be able to be so adamant on who your picks are, and that you guys are actually picking and people are winning? Where's all your information come from? Are you like UFC mixed martial arts fanatics?
I don't know. I don't know what you'd call it. We're scrolling the underground networks. We're reading up on the topology. We argue in an office for hours at a time about who we think's really going to win. So normally that kind of weeds out all the bad decisions. Yeah. The worst part for us is when we get the fighters on and then they say, "Hey, I watched your show and you didn't pick me to win." So we're starting to get up against it
now. Who said that? Who said that?
I won't name names, but they're out there.
All right. Was it Dylan Dennis?
Oh, God.
It was not. It's the only thing we said.
Did you see that controversy that went on with Dylan Dennis today? That bitch, Jake Paul, throwing water balloons at him. Did you guys see that? And if you did, what was your thoughts?
I mean, if you're going to try to fight Conor McGregor, that's not a bad way to go about it. It's not what I would do. It's not how I would promote a fight. But, if that's what your brand is anyways, you might as well steer into it.
All right, but do you think the disrespect that comes into it is part and play? And how do you think that that fight would go if it were to be boxing?
Mike Tyson straight up told a guy he was going to F him until he loved him. So, I don't really think this is crossing any line that hasn't been crossed already. And, of course, Conor McGregor is going to beat Jake Paul.
Do you see how nice the Canadians are? They don't even say fuck. They say F. God, these guys... Can you put the Canadian... here we go. Oh, Canada. We brought in the Canadian hat today, basically because we got the Canadians on the show, which are basically from the Commonwealth as well. Hello, my wife. Hello, Dali. How are you? So let's talk about last weekend first and foremost. Can we have a little bit of discussion? Because I know that you are a Brandon Moreno fan. And can you talk about that fight and what your thoughts were? And did you pick it to go the way that it went down?
Okay, so I'm going to be very honest. I love Brandon Moreno more than anyone. I didn't think he was going to win. I thought he was going to get stopped brutally. And the fact that he put on such a great performance, whether or not you thought he won or not, that probably is top 3 for fight of the year. So, it was just a great performance. I'm glad he's probably going to get a rematch soon. And I really can't wait for that fight when they do book it together, because that was so much fun the first time.
Well, check this out, my brother. I've got a little surprise for you. I'm going to be interviewing Brandon in here on Thursday. Would you maybe like to come in and ask a couple of questions, since you're his biggest fan?
I mean, I could probably make some time to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
God bless you. I'm going to take care of that, Matt.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about the card this weekend, boys. Huh? Who do you guys got? You want to start with the prelims?
Yeah. If you want to, sure.
Hey, let me write this shit down.
He needs to make some money this weekend.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Ariane's going to write it down.
I always tell Marcus about you guys. I'm like, listen, sometimes when you guys disagree, it is what it is, 50-50. But when you guys agree, it's like 90% of the time it hits every single time. So
we're going to give you a scoop here, boys. The boys are going to relieve and give out their picks for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your pens, grab your books. Let's go on. Boys, over to you.
All right, Ariane, don't tell any of these fighters who we're picking. They don't need to know. We don't need to hear about it. So, First fight on the card, Rick Glenn taking on Carlton Minus. Rick Glenn's coming off of a 2-year-plus layoff. He had hip surgery. He moved from Team Alpha Male back up to Iowa. He's taking this fight up from 145 to 155, taking on Carlton Minus, who's up from Alaska. He's coming down from 170 to 155. He's a busy fighter. We've got Rick Glenn in this one, just off previous track record. I mean, he's a guy that shows a lot of different looks. Carl Minus moves forward, throws a lot of volume, but Rick Glenn definitely has a shot in this one.
Yeah, if Rick Glenn's the same fighter that he was down at 145, up at 155, he shouldn't have too much trouble with Carlton Minus.
So we're going with Rick Glenn for the pick for that one.
Love
okay,
it.
that's cool. I've written it down. Rick Glenn. All right, continue, my friends.
Next we have a couple contender series, boys.
Durden, exactly. I mean, Cody Durden kind of came up on short notice to get his first UFC fight against Chris Gutierrez. Jimmy Flick's fought Chris Gutierrez in the past. Jimmy Flick is a submission artist. I know he has a lot more pro experience, or really just a little bit, 2 extra fights, but he's fought some really good competition. Cody Durden, the level really hasn't been there, and we saw him kind of drop off rounds 2 and 3 in his last fight against Gutierrez. So for me, I'm going with Jimmy Flick. I think the upside's there. Durden, a little bit worried about the weight. I know he made it the last time, but that fight ended up falling out on the day of, or the day before, so I'm going Flick there.
Yeah, and if you guys are waiting for us to agree on a lot of these, this is another one. I got Jimmy Flick too. It should be a great fight, though.
All right, let's go with Jimmy Flick, and I actually really, really like that name, Jimmy Flick. So there we go. So we got Rick Glenn, Jimmy Flick, and now let's go with the next one, guys.
All right, you got Tafon Chukwe coming in off of Dana White's Contender Series. Dana White compared him to kind of mixed martial arts Mike Tyson. I mean, the guy's only 4-0. He's got a Muay Thai background, kickboxing background too, 13-1 in Muay Thai. He's finished everybody. He's finished everybody within the distance. He's a knockout artist. He's taken on Jamie Pickett coming in from North Carolina. Small town guy, big town vibes, Matt. I mean, he pushes the pace, lots of volume. He's a fun guy to watch. I just think he kind of leaves himself susceptible to getting hit. Tafon Chukwe, man, he hits like a truck. I'm going Chukwe here.
This is one of those really fun power versus volume fights where Jamie Pickett can start landing combos. He can start putting it on Tafon, but it's really hard to go against the power in this one. I agree with Craig again.
So we're going with Chukwe?
Yeah.
So we're on the same page so far.
We got some good names here. Glenn, Flick, and Chukwe.
Yeah.
That sounds like a monster movie right there. Right, what's next?
You're going to like the next one. So Draco Rodriguez making his UFC debut. His nickname is the Great Dracolini. I don't like it.
Dracolini.
He's an all-timer. He hits hard. He's super aggressive. He was a white belt in jiu-jitsu 2 years ago. He's going up against a black belt in the Canadian Ayman Zahabi. I mean, he's Faras's brother, training, working out of TriStar in Montreal, Quebec. It's a tough one. Ayman's been out for over a year. When he's on, he's on. And if he pressures, he's good. His jiu-jitsu is great. Foundationally, he's a good fighter. We just don't really see it coming together in some of the fights. Draco Rodriguez, again, all action. His one loss is to Tony Gravely that's in the UFC bantamweight. I think we both agreed with Draco Rodriguez, but this is one that we're not putting on our cards. This is a tough call.
Yeah, it really is. Again, like Craig had said, don't put any money on this one because it is so hard to predict. I'm going with Draco too, but there are avenues for Zahabi to win this one.
And for that being his only loss, too, Gravely's such a good wrestler. I mean, a guy like that, you can't really blame for taking an L. You know what I'm saying? And then,
yeah, exactly.
How do you bet against Faraz Zahabi's brother, right? I mean, my God, one of the best coaches of all time, GSP's coach out of TriStar Gym. I mean, incredible. What do you guys got on the next one?
Next one, you got AKA's Duran Nguyen, small Daniel Cormier, coming in at 195 pounds, taking on Antonio Hoyo. And this is Brazil's other version of Thiago Santos, the guy that they bring in to train certain fighters to mimic the Santos vibes. Now, he looks like Thiago Santos. If you squint and you put your hands in front of your eyes and you kind of close your ears, maybe it looks and feels like Thiago Santos, but it's not. Hoyo does make a lot of foundational mistakes. I know he's a favorite in this fight. Duran Nguyen, obviously the much smaller guy. Height-wise, he could probably be a bantamweight, but heart-wise, he's a middleweight or a light heavyweight, really. I mean, at 5'7" and 195 pounds. He's a great wrestler. I've got Nguyen in this one.
Yeah, our comment section and our fans love Hoyo in most of our videos, but we do disagree with that. I got Duran Nguyen. Hoyo makes a lot of mistakes on the ground, and Nguyen is a phenomenal wrestler, so if he can get those takedowns early, he should be able to run away with that one.
So anyone out there that's writing down these picks, if you win on this weekend's card, make sure you drop us a DM on the What Happens Here podcast YouTube, or make sure you do it on the Instagram. Let us know if any of these picks came out for you, and if they did, we'll give you a shout out on the show.
And don't forget to tip your waitress.
Yeah.
You guys accept donations, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's always merch. There's always
Waitress?
It's a
like
term.
that.
It's a
What's the matter?
don't forget to tip your waitress. You never heard that term?
You know what happens when you call Canadian guys waitresses?
I didn't call them waitresses. I was just saying, like, don't forget to tip your waitress. It's a term, right?
So what is your guys' favorite fight of this weekend that's coming up? Is it the co-main? Is it the main? Which is going to be your money maker?
Man, that's a tough one. It's not the easiest card to try and bet. Favorite fight on there is the co-main, Aldo Vera. And I know we're both pretty high on Jose Aldo, even though he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and Chito Vera had that finish over Sean O'Malley. Man, you can't count out Jose Aldo, the greatest featherweight of all time.
Yeah, you're going from Sean O'Malley to Jose Aldo. Like, there's levels to this. And Marlon Vera is a great fighter. I know everyone talks about how, no one really knew who he was before he fought Sean O'Malley. We've been following Marlon Vera for a while now, not to give ourselves too much of a pat on the back, but I really don't see him beat Jose Aldo this weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, the experience of Jose has been around, being undefeated for 10 years straight,
Right.
and then getting clipped. There we go, 3, 2, and then getting clipped. Getting starched by Conor McGregor all those years ago. He's never been the same since then. I have a lot of respect for the man, and I understand that these things can psychologically affect you. So let's go with Aldo for that one.
My only take on that fight is this: we're just getting to the point where so many of these big names are starting to drop out of the UFC. Yoel Romero just got signed to Bellator.
Yep.
Anthony Rumble Johnson just got signed to Bellator.
And who else?
Say it.
The Soldier of God just got signed to...
Yeah, well, Romero. This is what we're talking about.
Right.
So I just feel like we're at the point where these guys are starting to drop out, and you guys could probably agree, if Jose loses against Chito Vera this Saturday, I mean, what's left for him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to come back. 3 straight losses, right?
Yep.
Title.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all you can do. And, you can see it both ways. We get really excited about these prelim fights, if you couldn't tell.
Right.
Like guys like Draco Rodriguez, Stephon Chukwe,
100%.
Jimmy Flynn. It's always exciting to see fighters like that. But then you really got to think about it dollars and cents wise. You got to pay a guy like that, 10-10, 12-12, 20-20 at the most. What's Jose Aldo get? 250 and 250? Like, you have to pay him so much money. So you can just continue to fill up your roster with some cheaper talent. Younger guys or guys that have been on the regional scene that are hungry to get the finishes, get the bonuses, get more money. And that's how you end up with fighters like, Impa Kasanganay going in there against Joaquin Buckley. That's how you get that type of matchup. So I hope Jose Aldo wins this fight, I guess, for his sake. Maybe he tries to climb the ladder again at bantamweight. But yeah, it's tricky, especially with a lot of these guys and gals that are starting to age out. I know Verdum and PFL is another one too. And
Yeah.
he gets a crack at some big money, but the UFC just doesn't want to pay some of these guys.
100%.
So one of our friends here at What Happens podcast is Michel Pereira. He had a really dominant win his last fight. Came in with a Stockton slap. What do you guys think that one's going to go?
Oh, boy. Matt, you can go.
Yeah, this is where we get into
He turned the gun.
predict their fights. So, okay, Michel Pereira does a lot that I really like. He is a wild man, and he has shown improvements ever since that really bad Tristan Connolly loss, where he lost to basically a lightweight moving up on 1 week's notice. This is going to be a tough fight for him because Chaos Williams has absolute dynamite in his hands. And I got to be honest, Craig and I both predicted Chaos Williams in this one.
No, we didn't.
Michel Pereira does a lot of things really well, but he does get wild. And against a guy like Chaos Williams, he really only needs that one big bomb.
Yeah, that's funny because, Chaos Williams, 57 seconds for 2 fights. I had Pereira in this fight. Yeah, so
Williams.
I've got your guy, Michel Pereira. I think he can do enough. If he fights reserved like he did in his last fight against Salim Amadiev, he has a great shot in this one.
He also even admitted to us that he needs to calm things down a little bit. He gets so excited when he gets in there prior to the fight, and when he's in there that, he needs to calm things down a bit. But I think that little bit of entertainment value that they put in, the flips, the jumping, the smiles, the trash talk in there.
The Stockton smacks.
I think it adds to the bout. So let's do this. Let's go.
I'm biasly picking Michel Pereira.
Yep.
He's my boy. Shout out to Michel. I hope you do really good this weekend.
Yep.
Chaos Williams is a heavy-handed motherfucker, though, so we got to be careful with that one.
Let's do one last pick, guys.
Ooh, what do we got? You know what? You talked about the legends. Anthony Pettis has a fight against Alex Morono, and I don't really know where Anthony Pettis falls on that scale of lightweight legend. I mean, you got your proper 12s with Conor McGregor. You've got who? Jens Pulver, BJ Penn, Benson Henderson. Anthony Pettis has to be somewhere up there. And I know, his fights against some of those best guys didn't really turn out all that well. Yeah. But he's going from a really high level of competition to Alex Morono, who's coming off a win over Reese McKee, who lost emphatically to Khamzat Chimaev. It's just a weird mashup of a fight. So Morono 4-1 in his last 5, hasn't win over McKee. Pettis is 2-3, but you look at his last fight, he just beat Cowboy. So it's a step down, it seems, for Pettis to go from Cowboy to Alex Morono kicking off a fight night card. And this is one of those ones that in terms of confidence, we're both pretty confident in the pick. We both actually have another aging legend, and it's funny because he's only 33, and Anthony Pettis here.
Yeah, no, it should be a really good fight. And like Craig had said, Anthony Pettis has been in there against the best. He hasn't always beat them, but his level of competition compared to Alex Morono's is just astronomical. Like, he has fought some of the best fighters of his generation. Really hard to pick against Pettis in this fight.
Guys, you know what I really love about this podcast is we get to talk to some really amazing people from all over the world. Not only do we get to talk to athletes and actors and people that are in the entertainment industry, but then we get to talk to a couple of young guys like this from Canada that are doing these fight picks. Now, as you can see, these guys know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. All you want to do, guys, if you want to give them a follow at FightNightPicks, Picks, give the boys a follow. Let them know that you're watching. They do these live streams during the bouts, and it's just so much fun when you're putting a little bit of money on it. Guys, I would love to get you back on here again. It's going to happen on Thursday. Is there anything that you'd like to say to everybody before we bounce, my friends, my Canadian friends?
I mean, stay safe, stay warm. We've got snow up here and crazy winds, so it's
Sasquatch. You got Sasquatch in Canada too, right?
We got Sasquatch, we got some river monsters, all kinds of great stuff up here. But I mean, no, overall, crazy. We really appreciate you guys having us on, and overall, just enjoy the fights.
All right, there you go.
Love it.
You're coming from the Fight Night Picks, Craig and Matt. We're going to leave all their handles at the bottom of in the description of the podcast. Matthew Perroni, my main jabroni. Thank you very much for coming on and joining us today.
As always, the pleasure is mine. Everybody follow Fight Night Picks. Those are my boys. If you want to make some cash real fast, give them a follow.
Yep. Matt and Craig, thank you so much for coming on today, brothers. I really do appreciate it. Matt Perroni, I appreciate you for coming on. My name is Marcus Deegan. I am the host of the What Happens Here podcast. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and all social media platforms. Thank you very much for joining us again for episode 20. This is Marcus Deegan. Play that music out at the end, please, Ian, and keep my mic on. Thanks very much, everybody. We love you very much. You guys rocked it today. Appreciate you being on the podcast.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers to everyone watching.
There we go. There we go. It's a Marcus Deegan production. Hashtag you're welcome. Apple Podcast. Let's do it. Thanks, guys. It's over.